This is the Mad Dragons Podcast.
Well, g'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mad Dragons Podcast. And we started 2023 with a loss to an English team. Not the way we wanted to start the year, but we were without 4 players involved in the All-Stars, as well as 9 others from our top 30. That's actually only 27. So there was a lot of players that didn't play in this game for various reasons. If you add those 13 players in, I think it's safe to assume there'd be a very different outcome. I might go to you, Benny. I mean, overall, do you think were you happy with that performance?
Yeah, g'day, Donny. G'day, all the crew on the panel, and g'day, all the fans for tuning in. Yeah, that's an odd question, to be honest. I don't really know how to answer that one because, everyone looks at it as, us versus Helens, but at the end of the day, it is a trial. So is the result clouding our judgment a little bit and our expectations? I think I wasn't really happy with the result, but if you look at it from the point of what it was to achieve as a trial, I think, we got to see a lot of those sort of younger grade players have a bit of time on field, and we got to see a few from last year coming through on their development, how they've sized up and their fitness levels for the season ahead. So I think if you look at it for what it actually is, I wouldn't say I was disappointed with the result. Obviously, the loss wasn't the best, but yeah, I think too, to look at it as more than a trial is not really fair either. We could have stacked it, with guys like Ben Hunt and whatnot to get the win, but it wouldn't really have achieved what Hook and the coaching staff were going for. So I think overall it's not a bad result, but then I'm sure we'll get into it tonight. There was a few players that I thought weren't really up to scratch, and there was obviously a few that I thought did pretty well. So I'm sure we'll get into that in the next hour or so.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We will get into it. And the first thing that we will get into is one of our favourite segments, the best segment in vodcast history. Here we go. Take it away, Hazman.
Thanks, Tony. Guys. So I've got a couple of heroes this week. I thought Ben Murdoch-Masila, I really like the look of him. He ran strong, broke the advantage line a number of times. I reckon he's going to be huge for us. I think he might be the enforcer that we've been looking for. So, Aaron Woods, you can go back to reserve grade where you belong.
Was he our enforcer before? Jesus Christ.
See you, Sharon.
And the other one that I had was another Tigers recruit, like so many that we've got, which was Jacob Little. Now, I think some of the criticism he's copped after watching him last night is a little bit unfounded. Saw him run a few times from dummy half, and I reckon with a full squad with him at hooker, it would have been a very different story last night. Now the villains, I've gone with Moses Zembai, who was absolutely non-existent at halfback. He kicked straight down the bloody players' throats, the entire game, and didn't really sort of contribute to any of the tries that we scored. And my other villain is Anthony Griffin for putting him at bloody halfback in the first place. I'm wondering why he didn't put Zach Herring in there rather than, an old has-been like Mbai. So, I don't understand this love affair that Griffin's got with Mbai. I don't know where it comes from. He must have compromising photos or something. But so that's heroes and villains. for this week, Donny?
Yeah, I tend to agree to an extent with Hook being on your villains list, but not because of Mbai. I don't think he had much choice. There just isn't any halves in our squad. My big reason is that I would have him as a villain is because of Connor Mollison. I think he did the dirty on Connor by putting him at 6, a position that he's not familiar with, and didn't really give him a chance to play his natural position at any stage during the game in at 9. I thought he did his absolute best, tried his arse off, was fantastic defensively, but it's very, very tough for a young bloke that's never played NRL before to come in and play a key spine position that isn't the position he plays. So for me, that was the stuff up from Hook was give that role to a more experienced player and let the kid play his natural game a bit more. All right, well, we'll go from the villains, the negatives, and we'll go back into some positive stuff. So while we don't have Mad Dragons Vodcast Player of the Year voting in trials, and Hazman has already mentioned a couple of our best there in that segment, but I'd say for most of the people that I've spoken to, our best player was our captain for the day in Blake Laurie. Chloe, you were at the game. How did you see Blocker's performance on the day?
Yeah, I was at the game, and I thought Blocker played really well. Being captain, he got smashed a few times by the St. Helens guys, but I think he went really well. I was really proud of him, and I was a bit skeptical with his communication, but he was everywhere with the boys, and I could see him on the field. So yeah, I thought he went well, considering that no Ben Hunt, So yeah. Yeah,
no, I think it was a real lead by example type performance from Blake Laurie. He looks a hell of a lot stronger this season than he did last year. He didn't seem to get dominated, I didn't think, in the ruck as much as he normally does. So I thought he was really struggling to go forward. He actually put on a few big hits. Normally, Blocker's a guy that makes his tackles, but he's not a bloke that you would associate with putting on big shots. And I thought he really lined up a couple of the Poms and sent them into the middle of next week. So I thought it was a fantastic performance, and maybe leadership suits him. Joe, we sort of have already mentioned this player, but a bloke that you did mention a few times to us in the chat was Connor Mollison for his defence. Tell us what it was that you saw and liked so much.
I liked how he came on and just started blitzing them in defence. I did make the comment that when he came on that I would find it very surprising if St. Helens scored any more points against us. Well, they actually did a couple of more tries, but I wasn't too sure whether or not he came off during that period or whether he was still on there, but I was just super impressed with his defence. I'll tell you who else I was pretty impressed with, comment without notice sort of thing, was that young 18-year-old terror, Dylan Egan. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's the one.
My God. Wow. He's only 18. Mate, I tell you, I really can't wait to see what happens with this kid. Only 18, he just came out like a pit bull. Crazy. Just wanted to eat up everything. Ran with the ball, tackled like no tomorrow. I'm excited about this young fella. Very excited. I don't know what he's for.
Dragons fans love a ginger too, mate.
Mate, I tell you, he really turned it on. He just wasn't afraid just to run up and smash people. And he was like a 25-year-old, you know what I mean? It's hard to believe he's only 18.
Yeah, no, they were talking him up a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, on the Fox coverage, they were certainly giving him a few raps and stuff before he came out onto the field, and he certainly earned those, I suppose, when he did come on. You didn't miss him. He went out there, he ripped in. He didn't show too much respect to the opposition. Just went in there, went out, did a job. Didn't look overawed by the occasion at all at 18 years of age. So yeah, it was a good showing by young Dylan. Nick Louis Toso, Jesse, was another one. Only two forwards for the Dragons ran over 100 metres. Blake Laurie, who we've already mentioned, and Nick Louis Toso came off the bench and ran for over 100 metres. How do you see his first hit out in the Red V?
Yeah, he looked pretty solid out there. I didn't see a hell of a lot of him, but it was sort of a sorry. Yeah, it was a bit of a I didn't know what to expect of him because we haven't seen a lot of him play NRL or anything like that. But yeah, I hope to see more of him coming forward. And I hope he gets more minutes in the Charity Shield, see what more he's made of. Yeah, it was. I didn't know what to expect, as I said, but he looked pretty solid in the runs he had and made a few good runs. Hopefully he can get better going forward, but hopefully he gets more minutes and maybe he can get a chance to make a debut at some stage during the season. But the only thing is he's got a few players in front of him with the depth of the front rows we've got. But yeah, I'd like to see him get his chance at some point during the year, but we'll see if he gets a chance run in the Charity Shield next Saturday.
Yeah, well, you say that he's got a few in front of him. I thought he performed so well that he's gone over the top of quite a few of them with that performance, particularly with the ball. I mean, I thought his work rate defensively could have been a bit better. He certainly didn't miss tackles, but for a bloke defending in the middle, I was surprised by how low his tackle count was. But yeah, with the ball in hand, he certainly didn't shirk the task and was getting up over the advantage line. I think he was up around 10 metres per run as well, which is always a nice little stat as well. If he's getting to where the defence is standing every single time he runs the ball, then that's a big thing for a middle forward. So yeah, I thought it was a really good first outing, and I hope that he's in the squad for the Charity Shield and can push his claims a little bit further. Now, Benny, our first viewer question comes from Raphael Fishner, who says, lots of young blokes that many fans didn't know much about prior to this game. Were there any others not already mentioned that you thought really stood out?
Yeah, I think Trey Stewart, obviously, he had a blinder. Obviously, a few times under the high ball there where he sort of got off the ground and put himself in awkward positions and obviously didn't get the result. But I think he showed what he's capable of. Obviously, there's a couple of pretty decent fullbacks in front of him. So whether he's going to get a sort of regular first grade spot is still very unknown. But he's a very exciting prospect in that position. He's still got a bit of maturing to do as a footballer, and as a lot of the young guys do. But I think he's definitely someone exciting to watch. The other two guys I thought were really impressive is the Couchman brothers. I think they came out, they really put a mark on the game. Big, strong, mobile guys. Weren't afraid to get in and like you said about those other young kids, really sort of weren't worried about the opposition at all, just went in sort of elbows deep and got stuck in, which is really good to see. So for me, I think those are the sort of standout guys to come to my mind at the moment.
Yeah, no, I thought Trey Stewart had a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously did some great things when he got the ball in hand, but those couple of errors certainly giving Dragons fans something to be worried about. But it is something that you are going to see in his game. He does have a few errors that he just has to get out of his game at some point. But I've certainly seen him make them in the past. But came up with a few tackle busts. He looked surprisingly strong. His work rate was good. I don't know exactly how many minutes he had out there, but it ran for nearly 140 metres in the time he was out on the park. Obviously had that line break, that really good try. 5 tackle breaks. So there's plenty to like about the work that Trey did. I've certainly had some question marks over him defensively, but came up with a good tackle. Got put on report and penalised for a hip drop, which was absolutely ludicrous. But you're going to get that, I suppose. And I totally agree with you describing the Kaufman brothers. I thought they were absolute standouts on the day. Again, really young. I don't know, they're 18, 19 years of age as well. And most people saying that they're probably another year or two off. But if they can come out and between the two of them make 38 tackles and 0 missed, 100% tackle efficiency. I mean, that's pretty impressive for guys at that age to come up against your potential world champions and Ellen's team and do that. And between the two of them running for over 100 metres as well. So in limited minutes, I thought both of them incredibly impressive, and it's difficult to actually pinpoint which one of them was the better of them. I think Toby probably got a few more minutes, but Ryan got out there and certainly went toe-to-toe with his brother in terms of the quality of the performance. So, yeah, some fantastic work. Civilio Tamale obviously had that try late as well. A guy that's probably not necessarily a young bloke but Dan Russell, another name that not too many people would know much about. He's 27 years of age, so he's certainly not a young bloke, but I thought he worked really hard. He, while he was out on the park, just did absolutely everything he could to get involved. He made a lot of tackles, and he set up that try for Tamale with the only offload of our entire game. So it certainly wasn't all positive, and that's what I might go to you with, Hazman. You've obviously mentioned Moses Mbai, Hook as being a couple of negatives. We lost the game by 12 points. There must be a few more negatives that you noticed on the day as well.
Well, I thought that normally I'd say the refereeing was shit, but I have to be honest and say, it was kind of okay. But yeah, look, the one thing that I noticed was, it's the same old, bloody one out off the ruck. I didn't see anyone even looking for an offload until that Tamale try came around. It looks like Griffin's basically said to him, look, just play the same way we've been playing for the last 4 years. Hopefully we'll be able to hold them, score enough points and maybe hold them out. But I mean, we didn't offer much in attack really. Trey Stewart try, I think was pretty much as good as we got. Certainly got some speed. A little bit sus onto the high ball, I thought, but when he kept his feet on the ground, he was as safe as I've seen. But so yeah, we just played the same boring style of football that we've been playing for the last few years, and yeah, hopefully Griffin's got a few more tricks up his sleeve than that.
Yeah, no, it definitely looked a little flat at times. That's for sure. And I guess I didn't notice at the time the lack of offloads, but looking back through the stats and seeing that for the entire game, one offload, and that came right at the end of the game. If you're not, we had no halves to speak of whatsoever. So our back line was always going to be starved and not have a lot of opportunities. But the only way you're going to create opportunities with no halves is through second phase play, trying to break down that defensive line. And we didn't even do that. We didn't even try and do that. So it was a pretty unimaginative type of attacking display, I thought. And, I reckon if we were up against NRL quality defence, we might have been lucky to score a point. So it was really some defensive fragility that allowed us to score 18 points on the day. So I think there's still a bit of work to do, and hopefully we see a bit more expansiveness from the side come next weekend against South. All right, our next viewer question actually comes from a Facebook page, Everything NRL. We probably should start a segment on our social media platforms for the old Friday follow, and our first Friday follow could very well be for Everything NRL. They've been very supportive, and I'd like to find some way of reciprocating that support. In any case, their question is a common one, Jesse. How many weeks do you think Anthony Griffin has to save his job? And who's the best candidate to take his place?
I think I'd give him 7 or 8 weeks. Yeah, the knives will be out from round 2 for him. If the team's not going well and they start the year with 4 straight losses or something like that, everyone will be calling for his head, and the calls will grow louder and louder for him to get his head on the chopping block. As for his candidate to replace him, I couldn't really pick one. There's no real standouts there, who's there to you would pick from. Uncle Des. No, I don't think Uncle Des is the answer. Sorry, Matt. He's a bit similar to Griffin. He's a bit old school in the way he coaches. And yeah, he doesn't really I don't really think he's the answer. He's a bit more old style, and he's only had really success with that strong Manly side in the mid 2000s. So I'd look at maybe an up and coming coach like Craig Fitzgibbon proved that he did well in his first year at Cronulla. I know that's only a trial, but this New Look Bulldogs side looked good. They put a score on Canberra today in their trial, so they looked good as well. So it looks like he's got potential, Seraldo. But few names have been touted up. Jason Riles, he's probably the next best up and coming coach.
He
He's
won't
learning
leave
his trade
Melbourne.
he's at the Roosters under Trent Robinson at the
Oh,
moment.
that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's pretty good.
So yeah, he's just off the road. I mean, he'd love to come home, I'm sure. But whether or not we do go down that road, it's a different story. There's also Shane Flanagan, who's been touted who's been linked, but he's obviously got that assistant job at Manly now. So I don't know. I'd saw him come back if the Dragons did offer him the head coaching role, but and then again, he hasn't coached in the NRL for 4 years as well. So yeah. Dean Young's also been thrown up. Again, when Mary McGregor was sacked in 2020, I thought they really went worse once he took over, and I don't really see that he hasn't got the runs on the board yet to be a head coach, and I still don't feel that way. But I'd like to see someone, that someone like in the
What about
mold of a
Sowie?
Craig
Look
Bellamy.
at what he's done to the girls. What about Sowie? Look at what he's done to the girls.
Yeah,
Come on.
different kettle of fish though. Coaching an NRL side, different kettle of fish. He's only been doing it 1 year.
Damien Stark in the group chat says unless we can recruit quality players, it isn't going to matter what coach we have, which is a fair point, but it's a real chicken and egg thing, isn't it? Like how often does a quality coach then attract the quality players? Like the Sharks didn't have Nico Hines and Dale Finucane and those players go to the Sharks until after they signed Craig Fitzgibbon.
That's right.
It was the coach that attracts the players. So yeah, and I tend to agree with a lot of what you said. There's a lot of uncertainty and
surely first choice has to be one of the assistant coaches, but
well, they'd be
logical first choice.
They'd get the job in the interim, and if they did a good job, then I guess they'd be a chance. But we've seen that a couple of times. We saw that with Mick Potter last year at the Bulldogs, got a chance, and the Bulldogs all of a sudden started to play some good, attractive footy, but he didn't end up getting the job. So they still went with somebody else in the end. I think that the Dragons, and it has to be a process. You can't just say, oh, we've locked in Des Hasler. We've locked him in already. We're not even going to look and talk to anyone else. Like, it has to be a process where you get out and like I think we did a poll just in our group chat, and these are some of the names that got mentioned in that poll. I think Shane Flanagan got the most votes from the panel with only 3 votes, but that was enough for Shane Flanagan to be the most popular on this list. But as well as Shane Flanagan, there was Andrew McFadden, Stacey Jones, Jason Taylor, Brian McDermott, John Cartwright, Simon Wolford, Michael Maguire, Ben Wolfe, Steve Georgalis, Ryan Carr, Josh Hannay, John Morris, Mick Potter, Ben Hornby, Jason Riles, Dean Young, Brad Fittler, Des Hasler, Jeff Tuvey, Billy Slater, Neil Henry, the Walker brothers, David Ferner, Nathan Brown, and Trent Barrett. So to say there are not options is complete and utter bullshit. There are heaps of options. There are heaps of blokes that the Dragons should be wanting to get in front of and talk to about what their coaching philosophy is, what it is that they want to achieve. I think it's way too many people saying they want Des Hasler. I don't understand how you can hate Anthony Griffin and think that Des Hasler is the answer. Like it's exactly the same bloke. He's an old guy who is set in his ways, has had no success whatsoever in a decade. He doesn't listen to anyone. He destroys every club that he goes to. He leaves behind an absolute disaster to be cleaned up. He has his favourites. Once you're out of favour with Des, you're not getting back into the good books and getting back into the team. It sounds to me exactly like the same issues we have with Anthony Griffin. Why would you want to replace Griffin with Griffin?
Yeah.
So
but I think the thing to consider as well is if we lose Hook, and as much as I'm not a huge fan of Hook, if we lose Hook, that sets us back 5 years. You know, we're looking at restarting a 5-year plan to work towards a premiership. No coach is going to walk in if Hook leaves in 6 or 8 weeks into the comp and turn us around in 3/4 of a season to make us a premiership winning side in 2024. Like you're looking at 2027, 2028 before we're looking at a premiership if we go to a new coach. You know, like realistically, where does that put the club and how much does that reset their whole plan to work towards a premiership? Because that's the end goal, is to win a premiership. And you have to have a guy that's going to buy into that vision and be prepared to put in that 3 to 5 year stint to work towards that. I don't think Des Hazard would be an option at all. He's not going to work with the culture of the club or the playing group that we have. So,
well, that's probably the other knock on Des as well, is whereas Hook does have a reputation of developing young talent. I know a lot of fans don't think he's doing a real good job of that at the moment at our club, but he does have a reputation of being pretty good at that. Hook, Des Hasler does not. He does not build up the young talent. He works with the NRL side only, and that's the only thing he gives us stuff about.
Yeah.
So he's not a whole of club mentality kind of guy. I don't think he's a good fit for our club.
So who do you think would be the best fit, Donny?
I honestly don't know, mate. I'd love to have a chat to a whole bunch of those guys on that list that I just mentioned and talk to them about what their philosophies are and what it is that they can bring to the club. I think there's a lot of young guys. I've got no idea
I would love Brad
what they're like
Fittler.
as coaches.
Like Brad Fittler, I know he's from the Roosters, but he did do New South Wales. But I don't know, there's something about him, you know. Billy Slater, no thank you. See you later. I never liked the guy. But
we've got enough of Queenslanders, you reckon, Chloe?
Yeah. Yep, we've got enough. I've got enough. But I think, like what you said, Donny, we need
Brad Fittler. You want Brad Fittler? Kept out the best attacking winger in the world.
Yes.
Out of state of
Origin.
I know. Great coach. Fuck yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't rate him either.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't even know. Like, I'm still thinking we need someone that can. If Ryan Webb went to all these coaches and sit down and go, what's your philosophy? This is ours, and try and meet the philosophy of our culture in the club, because that's what we need. Like, I don't know.
I'll give you one thing about Brad Fittler, Chloe, is if you want someone that's the complete opposite of Hook and is going to do things very left of field, and you're never going to know 1 week from the next what the hell he's going to do and who he's going to pick, then Brad Fittler's your man.
Because Fittler only coaches 3 times a year when it comes to Origin.
He did coach in the NRL once. He went really well. I think he might have won about 2 games in 50. So his record isn't that great.
Yeah, I would not have Fittler anywhere near the top of my list.
His contract's up for Origin this year too, so we'll see what happens there as well.
Yeah.
If they lose, he could lose the job there too.
I know.
He might be looking. He'll become an ass.
I'll become the coach, guys. Okay, everyone, I'll become coach. Just 4 rounds, okay?
Coach the Blues.
No, not the Blues. I'll just our club.
Yeah, well, we know Benny Hunt would be on the outer then. All Stars. Jesse, you're probably the one that probably paid the most attention to the All Stars. I was about 10, 15 minutes in by the time I turned it on. I saw Tyrell Sloan score a try. And
Joe's got to give a shout out to Cheetos first.
Oh, yeah. What do you?
Hello.
Is that your sponsor? Is that your sponsor, Joe, for the week?
Oh, that's how they'll always play a sponsor. Joe donates plenty to Cheetos.
I like burger ins myself, so.
Yeah, I chucked on the All Stars for Tyrell Sloan's try. I turned it on just in time to see him score, and I kind of paid loose attention to it as that game went on. But Jesse, I know you were paying a little bit closer attention than I was. So how did you see the performances of our Dragons, both in the men and the women's All Stars games?
Well, I was at work, so I only saw bits of the game. I didn't see the whole lot of games, but
I saw a
You're
bit.
no good, was either.
No, I did see the women's and half the men. So,
I'll watch
the
both
women.
games as well.
Oh, we'll go, Benny. You go, mate. You go.
No, you go. All right, you take the ladies and I'll take the men. Off you go. Ladies first.
I think our girls. Okay, well, I think our ladies played pretty well, even though they lost. I just love watching it. Like the lead up, the atmosphere. So the girls, I think both sides played pretty well. Good high tackles. Yes, that's all I can say right now. There you go. That's it. That's my bit.
I will say this though, I couldn't put my finger at why Talia Fumano, was on the bench.
Yeah, that was a good one. Once she got on there, but she played some pretty decent footy. Definitely.
Yes.
But yeah, odd selection. Same with Tyrell Sloan being off for 3/4 of the bloody game in the men's.
He scored that try and then
And then he's off.
disappeared and don't know where he was for the rest of the game. They put Dane Laurie out onto the wing, despite the fact Selwyn Cobbo was probably the worst player on the field in the first half.
Oh, until he scored one try. Superstar all of a
3
sudden.
tries, yeah.
World's best winger.
Playing off Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker, that makes any winger look good.
That's it. But no, I was actually pretty impressed with how our boys went in the All Stars game. Josh Kerr had an absolute blinder. He played really, really well. Lots of aggression, lots of work rate. So if that's a sign for anything that he's going to be bringing to us in this season, I'm pretty excited about how that's going to go. Tyrell Fumano obviously played as well. He had a big work rate. I think he had a lot of tackles. But Donny, I'm not really a stats man, but Donny did say that he had a lot of missed tackles as well. But he was definitely in the thick of it, and his work rate was massive. Made a lot of meters with the ball as well, and was involved in a lot of stuff. So yeah, I think they both played really well. Tyrell Sloan, obviously, scored that try, and then he was off for the next sort of 30, 40 minutes and only came on with a couple of minutes to go, which was a real odd one for me. Like we were just talking about, didn't really realise he was off until he'd been off for quite a while. And then we're like, where is he? And we're just waiting for him to come back on. And he didn't get that shot. So I don't know what the...
Well, he was off for so long that we thought he might have been injured.
Yeah, well, we had that chat in the group chat, We were worried that he might have pulled himself an injury, which was, obviously the last thing on our minds that we'd hoped for. But he went back on with a random minute and a half to go and had one touch of the footy, and I think that was the end of the game. But so odd one for me as far as the coaching goes and selections wise. But and obviously Zane Musgrave as well for the Maldives. So I think he played well. Again, high work rate. He was involved in a lot, but me and Donnie were having a bit of a chat on the group chat and just picked up a little quirk of his after every tackle. Every time he gets tackled, he gets up and has a whinge to the ref. So, it's something to keep an eye out for when we see him in the red boot.
Yeah, we sort of we noticed it there in that game. Every time he ran, the one positive I will say, like we both hate it when a player whinges to the ref every single time he gets tackled. Yeah. But the one positive I would say is that he did get up, played the ball quickly, and then whinge to the ref. Like then put his hands out and talking to the ref and having a bit of a cry every single time he got tackled, which is a little frustrating. Maybe something that we can get out of his game in time. But I thought he was fairly solid. Again, looks like a guy that just does his job. Looks pretty fit and high work rate, doesn't miss many tackles. So that's certainly going to be helpful for us going forward. We missed plenty last year, so a bloke that doesn't miss many
exactly
will be helpful.
Yeah, it was good to see, especially for me, Josh Kerr was a standout. And good to see him playing with some mongrel, like I know you had that incident where he got put on report and sent off for 10. But, I don't think there was much in it. Obviously, he only copped a fine, no time on the sideline, which is great. But, good to see him playing with a bit of mongrel. You all know that I love a bit of mongrel in my players. And I remember I said to my players to look out for earlier earlier I said that Josh Kerr was one of the ones that I was hoping was going to have a standout year. So I'm really, really hoping that this is him making a stand for himself and really playing for his jersey. So, yeah, can't wait to see you out in Red V, mate, and keep that aggro up. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought he certainly ripped in, showed a lot of aggression and did a lot of the things that we know Josh Kerr is capable of doing as well. So it wasn't just that he was running the ball with a bit of gusto, running it with a bit of venom. He was doing what he does, and he's got a lightning fast play the ball. Now, I've sort of said that like he is a frustrating player, and I know a lot of Dragons fans have completely lost patience with him and decided he's a reserve grader and shouldn't ever get another chance, and we should get rid of him. But he's a guy that I think is perfect for the modern game.
Yep.
Like he's big, he's tall, he's solid, he's got fast legs. He's got some footwork. He can poke his head through the line. He can play with a bit of aggression. He's got a quick play the ball. He's a mobile guy that I think just absolutely perfect in this 6-again era. Needs to get some errors out of his game and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think at his best, he's a guy that suits everything that is rugby league at the moment. Just on that tackle, Chloe, the tackle from Josh Kerr. What were your thoughts on it? Do you think that he's lucky to get away with a fine, or do you think he probably should have faced a suspension for that one?
Well, the person he was tackling was Fisher Harris. He's another big guy. So, I've watched that like numerous times today, and it was just the way he went in, but it was a good, solid tackle for him. So I didn't think he needed to be sent off or suspended. I think it was a good, hard tackle by him. And like Benny said about the mongrel, I love that. That's what we need in our team. We need that aggression and mongrel in the players, because if we play flat, we'll get beat and get thrashed. We need that. And I actually thought he played really well too. So, yeah, I didn't think he should have got sent for the bin, because I've seen Fisher Harris do the exact same thing for Penrith back, So it was just, beast on beast kind of thing. So, yeah, I didn't think anything of it. The good. So, yeah.
Joe, some mug in the comments by the name of Grant Bell. He says that that Josh Kerr, this is his big game every year. He always tends to play well in the All-Stars game, but never really shows it for the Dragons. Is that a fear for you that once again he's played well in the All-Stars game and we're not going to see it in the Red V?
Yeah, I kind of agree with young Grant. I actually have to agree with you, man, and that's why I'm a bit optimistic about Joshy. I know you had him in your lineup for the 17. I think if both the Jacks were available, both Jack DeBellin or Jack Bird, yeah, I wouldn't have him in my 17 at all, to be honest. So, but you know what? If he's going to get his opportunity again next week, let's just see what he can do. Back at club level, although it's still a trial, but still, yeah, let's see what he can bring. Hopefully he proves me wrong, and young Grant, that he proves us both wrong. But yeah, I wouldn't have him in my top 17 if we had our two Jacks available, if you know what I mean.
Well, I might stay with you, Joe, on that. So obviously for the Charity Shield next week, the 4 players that played in the All-Stars game will be back. But what other players are you expecting to be available for the Charity Shield? And what do you think our 17, or you say 17, but it's still 26 players that can be named for this game next week. So it still should be a big squad of players get an opportunity. Are there any from last night that you think should get another opportunity, or any others that you want to see a bit more of?
Yeah, I'd really love to see that young fella get another run. Hey, that Dylan Egan, yeah. I'm a fan. I'd love to see him have another crack. And it wasn't just a bit of luck against the English, maybe some quality opposition like South Sydney, and see how he goes then. And I reckon he'll be a terror, and he'll give it to him. So I'd love to see young Egan have a crack again. But look, you know what I believe in? I like taking this game quite seriously, because a bit of silverware and a bit of rivalry against the Bunnies. So I like, traditionally, we've always started our top 17 at the beginning of the game. And I know you've got your 25, 26-man squad on the bench and playing everyone's there anyway. But I like to see our top 17 start for at least the first 30 minutes and play how we would during the year with what he has in mind. And then everything else and everyone else will then just creep into it and try and make a name for themselves. And barring any injuries and things like that, then these guys will probably have a run, you know what I mean, throughout the year. So, yeah, what we had against St. Helens, obviously a lot of these boys probably won't get another run again against South, but what we had with these 9 coming back, plus our all-stars, so the 13 that you mentioned, Donnie, out of the boys that played against, I'd love to see, for me, I'd love to see that Egan kid get another crack apart on top of the 9 or 13 we're expecting to come back to the squad. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's certainly going to be.
And Mulholson on the bench as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see Connor get a chance to play a bit of 9. I was surprised at how little time Haley Finau got in the trial game. Didn't really get to see him play extended minutes and do a great deal. It was good to see Jacob Little out there for a fair while, but I kind of expected a couple of our other options at 9 to get a bit more of an opportunity than they did, which sort of brings us, Hazman, to one of the questions on the chat from Nicholas Kostopoulos. He says, were you surprised that we didn't get to see a bit more of Jackson Sherrin?
I was a little bit surprised. I thought he might have got a bit more game time than that he did. When I don't know what goes through a coach's mind when you got unlimited interchange and 26 players to bloody choose from. You'd have to talk to Peter Griffin about that one. No, I would have expected him to play more minutes than the rest of the young guys that we had. But look, these trial games, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, again, I think it tends to be a bit of a reward for what's happened on the training paddock. Jacko's a guy that's been in our system for quite a few years now, and this year is supposed to be his year to maybe step up. He's got that development contract. He's a step away from being in our top 30. I think it would have been nice to see him get a little bit more time out on the field to show people, the fans, what it is that he's got to offer. But he's got to keep grinding, mate. He's got to keep working hard and hopefully gets an opportunity at some point through performances in the lower grades. Benny, another question from this pest Grant Bell. Dad just wants to know, will Lomax and Sully revert back to their normal side of the field? A bit of a strange one to see them swap sides. We sort of mentioned it in the group chat that it was likely to happen, but do you think it worked, and should they swap back?
Well, I think the question there is like we said last time we got together, is what side is Ben Hunt and Bud Sullivan going to play on? Like, I think if you're going to swap, it's because of Ben Hunt and Bud. Like, why would you swap them without those two guys at half? To me, it made no sense at all. Like, it was just a total experiment, but they didn't see any ball anyway, so it's not like you can really make a informed judgment on it, whether it was successful or not, because they didn't see any ball. So I think that's going to be the determining factor is what side is Ben Hunt going to play on. And I think that then will answer the question as to whether they're going to stay on that side or revert back to where they're used to playing. So, I can't really comment on it because it was an experiment. Didn't really see any results at all. So,
I think you're 100% right, mate. I mean, with no halves, our centre's got no quality ball anyway, so it's difficult to say whether it's something that will work down the track or not. I would just say why. Like, there were two of our best players last year.
Yeah.
Why do you want to change things for them? I don't know. Joe, I know you've got a different opinion. You're actually a bit of a fan of these two swapping sides and think that it is something that can work. But what's your reasoning there?
Only because of the amount of ball the wingers are going to get. We saw what Matty Feeney can do with the ball when it's in his hands. As good as Sully is, as devastating as he can be, he doesn't have much of a passing game.
He's not much of a passer.
Yeah, I know that. But even if you could find an offload, for God's sake, you know what I mean? Matty Feeney with the ball is one hell of a dangerous winger, man. So I'm only saying this out of respect, and I feel that Zach will give the wingers the ball as Rava on his wing. If Sully's beside him, Rava ain't going to take shit. He's going to say, "Give me the ball, man!" Like he's and I don't think
He's Fijian, not Jamaican, but anyway, go on.
I he like the ball, man. He's gonna be demanding the ball. So I think if you see Rava and Sully on one side, pretty devastating, and then you've got a bit of class on the out. So you've got two pit bulls on one side and class on the other side. You with me? So you've got the class of Lomax and his fancy no-look balls, I hope, which he's got down pat this year, into the waiting arms of the devastating Matty Feeney. So you got class and speed, and then you've got the two pit bulls. I reckon it's worth considering. Do you see where my reasoning is? Because you've got Sully ramming the centres and going hard, and you've got beside him the other pit bull of Rava, just as devastating, just as strong. Wow, you know what I mean? But then you've got the other edge when Lomax creates a break with his modern day shimmy whoosh that Gasney used to once do. Then you've got a devastating winger like Matty Feeney off him. I'm actually excited. I think this is probably one of the better things Hook's ever done in his time with us, if he does go ahead with it.
Yeah.
That's my reasoning for it.
There's it just in the comments, Stephen Bates is sort of a bit of a combination of your two theories, Benny's and Joe's. He says that Hunt will play on the left and Hook wants Lomax playing outside of Ben Hunt. Reckons he's going to get a bit more quality ball out to that side of the field and early ball for Lomax. When you get early ball to Lomax, he can be very, very dangerous. I would say the same about Moses Sully too, though. You want to get him early ball, isolate him one-on-one with an opposition player, and he's going straight through. I think Sully and Rava standing next to each other, you know, I don't know that it's something that'll work very well defensively, but if I was a centre, I'd be scared shitless. I don't know whether I'd want them to give me the ball. They might miss tackles and come up with mistakes, but if they hit you, those two together,
that's what I mean.
So
you'll be sore at the
it might bluff them into going the other way. So it might bluff teams into going the other way. And I think Lomax and Feeney are probably the better defensive pairing. So they're not getting through on that side maybe. But Matty Feeney raced up a couple of times on last night, and that seemed to be the side of the field where they did score down. So I don't know. I wonder why we're making this change. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I think we are definitely going to see it again in the Charity Shield, and if it works, then great. If not, then it's something else to criticise Hook about.
Yeah, I found it odd because the 9 times out of 10 that the Lomax flick pass didn't come off last year was because Ravalawa wasn't there. Like, they have had that combo on song for so long, and then Ravi gets injured and Lomax is trying it with other guys filling in that spot, and it wasn't coming off. And then Hook goes and puts Lomax on the side without Rava on it, and Rava finally gets back on the field. It just, to me, it didn't make any sense.
Just going back a couple of questions, just looking through the group chat, just trying to get as many of these questions done as we can. I might go to you, Jesse. Evan Machikia, I'm sorry if I've said your surname wrong, but he says Bellyache is off contract. So, you know, is he someone the Dragons could sign up for next year?
I'd love to see that, actually. I don't know if you remember 10 years ago, we tried to get him after Steve Price's first year, but he opted to stay with the Melbourne Storm. But yeah, someone in the mold of him would be great. I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think the guys think their spot safe. Bellamy would blast the shit out of our team if he was coaching our. If he was coaching our team on that performance, he would blast the shit out of them. We don't.
Well,
we
he's
haven't-
blasting them today from their performance.
They wouldn't be going to
against the
fucking. They wouldn't be
Yeah.
going to sleep at our time, would they?
No. Well, I know. Like, in these halftime interviews, you see during Melbourne games over the years, if Melbourne say were outplayed in the first half by the team they were playing against, they were scared to go in the sheds because they knew it was coming. And I think, yes, he would be a great fit for the Dragons if they did go down that road. I don't know if it would be instant success if they did get him, but it would be. He would definitely. I think he would definitely improve them and scare them, because I've just noticed too that when he treats all his players the same. He doesn't care who they are. When they first get to the Melbourne Storm and do the preseason, he sends them out to work, digging holes and stuff, like pretending like they're just a normal 9 to 5 worker.
Been shots of Tarek Sims picking up a hammer during the off season. So
Yeah. So yeah, he doesn't care who you are. He'll treat you the same, no matter how big a player you are.
He's just getting his 5th house renovated because of the money he's on down in Melbourne. I don't think we can afford him personally.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think we've got the rich sponsors behind us to afford Bellamy.
And he's not getting any younger too. He's same age as Hasler as well. So
He could coach when he was 80. He'd still do a better job than these idiots.
Yeah, but yeah, Bellamy's arguably the best coach in the game at the moment. And yeah, he would bring some players as well, no doubt.
Evan has said that it's that it is an absolute fantasy, and Stephen Bates has pointed out that Bellamy is actually signed with the Storm until 2027, just not as a head coach.
Yeah.
And,
I said highly unlikely that he'll come up to us. He said no to us before. I think he'll stay on probably as a Melbourne Storm with mentoring their new coach if he does decide to step down at the end of this year.
Back then we offered him $1.5 million a year. What the fuck would he want now?
Yeah. Now we had an okay team then, but now, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, in absolute typical fashion, I was just about to start wrapping up the show, and Mick Puff Foster has just signed on. Wants to say g'day. I put him on mute, but he's.
Can you hear me, Donny?
Yeah, mate. We've got you. How you going, mate?
I'm dead, mate. I had some acupuncture in the last couple of days on my back and my knees and my bloody neck, and I went and played touch footy today, and I can barely bloody stand up.
No, well, you sound fantastic, mate. We've got no video. We can't see your beautiful face, but we can hear your dulcet tones.
I'm nearly lying down, mate. You don't want to see me tonight. but I thought I'd just quickly get on.
That's Joe just about every week, mate. Joe's usually lying down on a bed somewhere.
Yeah. You got a quick question, mate?
Oh, I didn't have anything prepared, mate. But what did you think of the Dragons' performance last night?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. With 7, I think it was one of you guys would probably correct me, but I think there was actually 7 first graders out. So with 7 first graders out, was pretty impressive actually, and we only sort of caved in probably in the last 12 or so minutes where they kind of ran away with it at the end. So I like Trey Stewart. I thought he looked pretty good. A couple of little mistakes with the high ball, but some pretty good defensive work and a really, really nice try. Had to do a bit of work to get there. So we know we've got a backup. If Sloan, something happens to him, Stewart will slot in with the team pretty well. And I had a good vantage point of the game too, and Stewart was doing a lot of talking and a lot of yelling out, and I could hear him quite clearly telling the players where to go and what they had to do. And I thought for a young guy sort of coming in and telling some of the more experienced players what to do, like Lomax and Sully and guys like that, I was actually pretty impressed with that. I thought Jacob Little looked pretty good. He did some nice stuff as well. I think Mulheisen, I couldn't really sort of pick him out. I couldn't really sort of tell who was who out there for time. But mate, overall, I think the boys actually looked pretty good, mate. So I really thoroughly enjoyed the game.
Oh, fantastic, mate! It's always great to have a few from the panel on the ground, and it was great to see you. I think Jesse and Chloe and yourself were all at the game and got some different vantage points and got to see it from a different perspective from those that were sitting back in our couches and judging all the professional athletes out there. Like we've got that right. But in any case, mate, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you to everyone for joining us. I think our first show on Thursday night was a little bit rusty. We're all, a little bit nervous heading in, but we've blown out the cobwebs. Tonight's been a fantastic show. We're better for the run. The Dragons next week, they'll be better for the run as well when they take on the Bunnies in the Charity Shield. We'll be previewing that one again during the preseason. It's going to be a Thursday night show, so we'll be back on Thursday night. Until then, come on, Dragons fans. Fire up!
Fire up!
Fire up. Thanks, guys. Catch you soon.
Fire up.
Hey, boys,